Hi guys, if you follow my channel, you know that I like to do some penetration tests on stuff when I get the opportunity. And I killed a pretty good sized boar last night with the flintlock, and that's going to be on my upcoming series coming out in July. I will put a link in the description if you want to check that out and subscribe to that. It's all 100% free. You may be definitely interested in watching that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the same Atlatl setup that I used to kill the sow last year on video in the ancient Atlatl hunt that I produced, and we did really good with it. It was a smaller point, and of course that being a sow did not have a shield, but we got excellent penetration, and we penetrated past the foreshaft actually up into the main shaft on that pig. But now what I want to do is put it to the test more so on a boar's shield, and this is about a good solid inch thick cartilage shield. So that's going to tell us a lot. Now, I'm actually going to try to stay away from up here because it thins out. It's maybe only 3/4 of an inch here, and then you can feel it gets thicker. You can feel it with your hand. So in this area, it's actually a little bit thicker. So that's actually what we're going to aim for. So don't expect me to hit, up here in the middle somewhere. I'm actually aiming for off to this side or down, potentially over here. And then I got another side too I may do a penetration with on the bow. But so what I'm doing here is I'm actually throwing a wider point, and this one's actually a little more blunt than I normally do. A lot of them I try to bring them out and taper it just a little bit more, but this one's almost like a worst case scenario, but it's very, very sharp. And this whole dart, all 9 feet of it, is river cane, and it's about 3,400 grains. So this will give us an idea on how the same exact setup that I used on the sow in the last video, how it's going to do, at least penetrating the shield. I don't have obviously the rib cage and everything to go through, but if we get through here, pretty confident we're in good shape. And also, one extra little note to throw into this is a lot of the prehistoric animals, remember that they were hunting with atlatls and spears, were bigger animals, and they had much thicker skin. And so should this actually fail to penetrate this, this lets us know that there's something that we've not quite understood yet, like in the effort of, say, hunting mastodons or mammoths or whatnot that have like a 2-inch thick skin that like modern day elephants. So we need to, I'm very curious to see how this does. I actually have very little concern that it's going to go through. I'm pretty sure it's going to. But anyway, let's go. Let's get after it. Let's throw at it and we'll see what happens. I'll tell you what, that just taught us a heck of a lot. Now again, it's just a styrofoam target behind this, and I threw that hard and it's heavy, and it stopped that point from going in. It broke the pitch loose. It positively did not penetrate that. That's just some food for thought going into what you're expecting shooting through a hog shield. Now again, this isn't skin. This is thick cartilage. I mean, it's hard. It's hard stuff. A pig that doesn't have this, you can get into. But a pig that does, apparently, you're going to be hard pressed. But I tell you what, I'm going to step back. I'm going to do it again. Let's see what happens. I already kind of broke the point loose, but you know what? We might as well. I'll put a little more oomph on it just to see what happens at this point. I'll tell you what. That shield is no joke. That is no joke. I mean, it was already kind of broke loose, but I hit it hard enough that it broke the tip off in it and bounced off of this. And it's got a pretty good backstop. It's got, maybe as much give as a pig would have, but for the most part, I mean, you can see what you're working with here. So my suggestion would be, if you're going to try to take a big boar with a stone point, after looking at this, I would go with a real small stone point to promote penetration, or a steel point. But of course, I don't like to do anything steel points with Atlatls, because to me it's completely out of context. But one way or another, I'd either try to avoid the shield or I would use a real small point. But this is a heck of a big 9-foot dart. 3,400 grains, and I was just denied twice. Alright, like they say, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. I got it out here. Might as well donate another foreshaft to it. And this time we're going to knock down to a smaller point. This is the same size that I would shoot on an arrow, so this is considerably smaller. And this is the same size of point that I penetrated and killed the sow with, but again, she didn't have a shield, she wasn't 200 pounds. We're going to do it again. Let's see what happens, see if this smaller point can make it through. And if it can't make it through this, then we need to stop and reevaluate how we were killing mastodons and mammoths with these. And smaller points and really whittle down as thin as we can. But let's give it a go. We'll see what happens. Well, that did it. That absolutely did it. It made it through it. It penetrated. And that, to me, is 100% confirmation in all the things that I've taught about stone points over the years, is that big points will struggle to penetrate. This Atlatl setup penetrates as good, if not better, than the proven bows that I've used to kill a lot of game with. And I was denied on that great big point. Now that great big point would be great on something that's a little bit smaller, thinner skinned, but this tells the real story. A smaller point is gonna penetrate better every time. So consider that, whether you're hunting with an Atlatl or hunting with a bow, you really need to take that into consideration. And it still didn't penetrate terribly far. Of course, the foam's relatively hard, but that's far enough right there. So let's take an idea here. I got my thumb on it. I want to see, it went in that far. That is absolutely 100% a dead pig. We got that one. Notice, and then you saw that other one, it bounced. I mean, bounced right off, completely denied. This one's thinner, more streamlined. I'm telling you, take that information to the bank.